watching The Kate Fox Show. I'm Kate Fox, and today I am speaking with my friend, actor, producer, writer, director,
author.
I said, did I?
I don't
author?
know.
I said writer. Author, Loren Molloy.
Hi, everybody.
We are happy to be sitting with you because you have just had something huge happen.
Yes.
Your movie, your first movie that you wrote, directed, acted in, produced, edited. What am I missing?
A lot of stuff, but I'm pretty sure nobody cares, but it all got done.
Yield the horror movie has just been premiered.
Yep.
You're sending out DVDs.
Yep.
And tell us about that.
I can't freaking believe we're sitting here. Year and a half ago, I think I looked at you and I was like, guess what? Remember I was talking about that thing Yield I might make? Well, I wrote a screenplay. Well, now it's done and you can buy it on DVD and Blu-ray. Look at that.
Well, where can they buy it?
You can buy it off my website, happyhorrors-store.myshopify.com. I swear I'll fix that link soon.
We'll put the link underneath so you don't have to remember that.
And you can get the DVD or Blu-ray copy. And it's been a freaking crazy ride, and I'm so glad you've been with me through it all.
I am too.
Thank you for always being there for me through this, because it's amazing how many people go, female director, female producer, I'm not going to support that. Indie horror, I support female directors. And then, you know, all of a sudden they have a lot of shit talk versus actual support. So people like Kate are amazing because she truly supports from the goodness of her soul versus just what might ever be good for a viewing audience. So I truly appreciate all of your support and all the times I called you going, bitches be crazy on this shit. I've also had wine, folks. So if you haven't had wine, it's lovely. It's in my little skull cup. So yes, I'm telling the truth. But Yield is about a couple who goes hiking in a national forest and discovers a cannibal crew that lives within called the Carnagos. The Carnagos use the forest as their own type of cat and mouse labyrinth to tenderize their meat, aka the tourists. When Lila and Nick disappear in Solaris National Forest, Danny and Leo go, wait a minute, those are our friends, they're missing, I know where they were, I'm gonna go get them. And the rest of the movie is the fight between the tourists versus the Carnago clan, and you get to see what a face cake is. You get to watch me play Betsy Carnago, cutting up a body or two, having a salute and cheers with a cup of blood from our victims versus, you know, nice red wine.
But how do you come up with something like that? How do you, because you know, we are in the things we write, and we are worlds apart,
right?
Despite our friendship and mutual respect. How do you come up with something like that?
I'm sick in the head. I was born that way. That's why my company is Happy Horrors Productions, because it's always a happy horrors time with me.
And you are a
psychopath? No.
spooky bitch.
Spooky bitch. Yes, that's true. Technically, I'm not a psychopath because I have no interest in killing folks. I really believe the worse a person you are, the longer you should live so you could be punished, because death is a mercy only innocents should have. I actually wrote Yield based on the time I decided to go vacationing at Florida. I went into an actual national forest that turns out to have private property. Now, all over our country, which we're not told, there's places called inlands where they couldn't get the family out of the location, but they wanted it as a national forest. So instead of forcing them out, or maybe they actually lost that war, which you'll see in Yield 3, their property becomes private property, and then they build the national forest around them.
Oh.
So in Ocala National Forest in Florida, I thought it'd be a good idea to go hiking because I love nature. I love the trees. We know I love trees.
You do.
I do love trees. Hello, cannabis is great. But I love nature. I love all of that. I like getting in touch with just the essence without the insanity of the world around us. So I need to go hiking as often as possible to help kind of clean my energy, so to speak. So I looked it up and went on Google and I was like, oh, Ocala National Forest. It says it has great hiking. I'll go there. I get in there and there is a family that lives within that starts chasing my car. It's a one dirt road that I have to now do a U-turn, which we call flip a bitch. Back in the day, we would call it flipping it a bitch, because you're gonna try to, you know, turn that car as fast as possible without flipping it to get the heck out of there. A man that looked like he was out of American Gothic dropped his pitchfork, ran so his actual straw hat flew off his freaking head, wearing overalls, chased my car down to the edge of his fence, and then was just screaming, bashing on his fence. When I got out of that property, a cop was going, "Oh my God, she's out, she's out, she's out." It turns out people go in, but cops don't go in. They're not gonna mess with it. So the fact that I got out was probably one of the first people that have ever gotten out of there in a long time. It's not a far stretch to figure out how the people that live within stay nice and plump. Long pig. If you've never heard about long pig, it's called, long pig means human. It means cannibalism. And we're not talking about spirit cooking like Hollywood does, which shame on anybody that does spirit cooking. And if you don't know what spirit cooking is, Google it. Shame on anybody that spirit cooks. But cannibalism is a side statement. So Betsy Carnigo and the Carnigo clan within Solaris National Forest, which I made up. I wasn't gonna put an actual national forest.
Okay.
So Solaris National Forest is the one I made up. So when the couple goes in to just go hiking, just like I did, all of a sudden their tire blows. And then the 911 operator says, "Sorry, we can't help you. We can't help you." Now they gotta figure out how to get out. They don't get out. So when the best friend, Danny, goes, "Wait a minute, it's been hours and my BFF, who writes me all the time and mocks her boyfriend, is not responding," I booked tickets and we're gonna go find them.
Wow.
So that's how that happened.
Wow. You know, in my head, part of me, I'm listening to you intently, and I'm trying to figure out how I didn't hear this part of the story, and yet I might be glad that I didn't.
I saved
And
you.
so-
Because when I was telling you originally, you had originally started talking about how you really wanted to get back into hiking. I might tell you, be careful where you go. You might turn into their super kidney pie.
Pollyanna.
Well, and it's funny, I had just done an interview with Monster Diggery in Sweden,
Okay.
which is really cool. That's people are a fan of me in Sweden.
Hey.
That's epic. Hey. And I said to him, he's like, "How did this process change you from before you made this feature film to who you are now?" I said, "Honestly and frankly, just like it says in the article, I went from Pollyanna to Lilith."
Oh.
Enough people decided that
Oh.
females shouldn't be listened to or respected, forgot their place, and killed all the Pollyanna that's left in me for them. So all that's left is Lilith, and that's your own fault. So if you're awesome, then you get treated like Pollyanna. You get Pollyanna treatment all the time. She's a sweet, dear soul that does nothing wrong and just wants to help the world. So I'm not going to tell her about how she could be turned into kidney pie. But recently I decided to go hiking again on Long Island and
Yes, you
got
did.
lost, almost died again, and found a lawn chair and a bucket. I had to get out of there. So don't think you are just in a safe location, okay? Really do your research before you decide to let Google choose where you're hiking, all right? Because there's inlands all over the country, and if you look it up, Georgia, Florida, they sell them. And then not tell anybody that families live within. Now, if those families came out of these national forests and went to your local food store, everybody would be talking about these serious, creepy hillbilly families. Because there's never any stories, and even my cop friends in all these different states go, "We don't have any tales to tell," you know, they're getting their meat within, which means they don't leave their property, which means maybe whatever goes in doesn't come out. Which is also why throughout the film you'll see bones and skulls, because you'd use all of it and everything.
Yes, you would. Much like, okay, Ted Nugent, he shoots with a bow and arrow and he uses every bit of the animal.
Because a true hunter, now when I was a little kid, one of my best friends actually did archery for a
Okay.
living. She was amazing. We were little kids, and her father, you know, took her to all these archery contests. And most people don't realize, watching The Walking Dead,
Right.
how much back strength and muscle you need to do a bow and arrow.
You know I don't watch that.
I know you
Okay.
don't, which is another reason why I keep it Pollyanna with you at all times, my love. Which is why she hasn't read my books, even though they're amazing, because I
They
love her
are?
and I won't torture her. Others I will. Her, not so much.
I have your children's book and
Yes,
your
you
poetry
do.
book.
Yeah, those are good. Those are good. Those are safe. If you don't like scary things, those are safe. Maybe not the poetry book. It's depending on the poem. Anyway, but it's true that in a lot of cases, you know, people don't realize that bow and arrow, it takes a lot of back strength and muscle. So, you know, when I, you know, learned how to do that, they were deer hunters. And it wasn't just, look at the head on my wall. It was literally, okay, tonight we have, you know, venison steak, we have venison.
Right.
They used every bit
Then
of
it's
it.
stew, then it's this, then
And
it's
they
that.
did it
then
in a
it's-
respectful way. They truly used all the bits and parts as part of their life, or making clothes, or for food, without any disrespect. That's the difference to me. If you're going to be a hunter and just want heads on your wall, I'm going to cry and say, shame on you. That's your own preference. But if you're not using all the meat too, then it's just
You're
like
not.
long pig. You're just killing for kill, man. I love that we're friends and I'm so spooky.
I look at
There's no way.
Paul McCartney and Michael Jackson, Ebony and Ivory.
No, don't. I'm not Michael Jackson. There's no way.
I can be.
Okay,
you
you
can
can
be
be.
Paul McCartney.
Oh,
I'm just
good,
saying,
good. I'll be Paul
We
McCartney.
have. It's so funny because we do have a strong friendship.
Yes, we do. How
And a
many years
mutual-
now? Many? Four?
Four,
5? Something like
four
that.
or five, and it's a mutual friendship.
Yep, it really
mutual
is.
respect, and I adore you and I adore what you do. But we are clearly in some ways very different.
Yeah.
And but
Opposites attracting, you know. 2 step forward, 2 step
all right, now we're
back.
Paul Abdul. Okay, it's okay.
What?
It's okay. So, but I mean, but you also forget about all of the joking, the whatever. You had a very specific vision,
Yes.
and you have never ever wavered.
No, yeah, that's
You,
one of my
I mean,
friends.
just straight up,
Straight
Paul
up.
Abdul. Okay, but
I
you
listen to her a lot.
have never wavered.
No?
You know what you want. You know what you want to do. You have it planned out, and you do it.
Yeah, I always say, if you bet against me, that's your own stupidity. Because quite honestly, the first time I met you, for some reason I looked at you, I'm like, so I'm going to write 3 books and then I'm going to make this movie.
You
Yield.
did.
And then so many people were like, wait a minute, you're making a movie? I'm like, so you weren't listening?
And then boom, another book, and then boom, another book, and then boom, and then the movie. So
And then
it's,
movie,
I
yeah.
mean, it's just. And what are your other books? Say all the names
All
of your
right,
books.
so I have 3 novels, 7 books. Right now I have The Very Devil Herself, which is about an immortal cannibal who works for the King of England from the 16th through 19th century, hunting down historical serial killers. Everything's historically accurate except the immortal cannibal herself. Alexandra would be me in a macabre sense. So she's more of a cannibal than a vampire because she eats all the bits and goodies of her victims. So think about, I actually went back in history in that book and looked up 2 historical serial killers, the London Monster and the Leather Apron of Whitechapel, and thought, what happens if an immortal cannibal decides to take them out instead?
Wow.
So that's that book. The Storyteller of Pain is about a psychiatrist trapped within a lunatic asylum with 13 different types of demons and a deadly surgeon, all trying to get her at once. She has to figure out how to survive all of it without the help of a priest. How does she do it? Gotta read the book yourself. And the third one is The Bedtime Killer. That is about a peeping Tom turned lust killer, kind of like a Richard Ramirez, but even worse. With a little nod to High Tension. Don't worry, it's okay. Don't ever watch High Tension, my love. Too Pollyanna to watch High Tension, but I bet you're not. So make sure you watch High Tension. It's a good movie because when you read the book, you'll go, that's the nod, which don't worry, I will not tell you. You
Thank
do
you.
not have to have nightmares. The Bedtime Killer, when he turns into a lust killer, you get to watch him go from a peeping Tom to a lust killer. You get to watch him design his signature MO. You get to see his childhood to
Wow.
make you understand why and how he became what he became. You get to watch him go, why is his lovers not paying attention from afar, to we're going to take it to the next level whether you like it or not. You also get to see every crime and kill from the point of view of the victims as well as the cops and the serial killer himself. So those are the 3 novels. I also have Where Did All the Dragons Go,
Which
which
my kids love.
most
Even
kids
my
love. I love it.
my adult now daughter, but my son. I'm going to see Loren. Oh, Loren!
Oh, he's such a sweetheart. Yeah, the Where Did All the Dragons Go is an illustrated picture book, and I did all the illustrations, and it's all about light and love and working together because kids are being forced to grow up too quickly, and I want them to be able to feel love and magic and safety, and the thought that if we work together we can actually heal and fix our planet. Let them be adults and start dealing with the horror stories that I put out to them. And the other book is Black Dreams, Shattered Illusions, which is my poetry book. Every poem is something that we've either personally gone through or know somebody who has gone through it, so we can remember we're not alone. Silence is deadly, and we need to be talking about depression and suicide and all the other aspects of every roller coaster of life, because we've lost too many people who think it's just them, the only issues is upon themselves, and then pass on because they'd rather stay silent than ever let anybody know they had any wounds. I've lost too many people that way, and I've been suicidal my entire life. It's one of the things you and I have always talked about.
Yes.
I've always been honest, because suicidal does not mean suicide. So for me, I might have to, and you've heard me say it, where I've gripped, the whites of the knuckles, bared my teeth to make it to the next morning because I wanted to tap out on the world. Because as an empath, I feel everybody's sorrow, hate, anger, etc. That doesn't mean that I'm actually ever going to commit suicide, and that's a big difference. We don't actually talk about that. One is shame on you for drawing attention. The other is I wish you would have said something. I won't be part of that, which is why I wrote that book. That's why I talk to schools and children and teens and go, hey, I'm always suicidal. Guess what? Every single day I think about killing myself, slitting my wrists, taking pills, hanging myself, slamming my car into a wall because I don't think I'm either good enough, pretty enough, smart enough, good enough, whatever it is in any kind of context. And guess what? Most of us feel that way one day or another.
Absolutely.
And if we start talking about that and going through that poetry book and go, I also felt alone. I also felt like I was going to tap out on this world. You might not tap out, because now all of a sudden it's not just you. You're not just being punished because of something you did or why you're, alive when you didn't ask for it. It's you, it's me, it's you, it's everyone dealing with these issues and then being shamed if you speak about it. You're not going to shame me. I'm alive because I speak about these issues so that you don't have to feel alone. That's why that book's out there. And I wrote it in college. That's actually how I started my whole career. My college English creative professor was reading this, and every poem in that book was a college class assignment. Alone. I wrote Alone, and in that poem he said, write something you would never do. So I wrote the poem Alone, which talks about killing yourself in the bathtub. And at the time I had thought about killing myself in the bathtub, so because I was so young, I wouldn't want my mom to clean up a mess any other way. So I was about 13, 14 and thinking, if I killed myself in the tub while she's at work, maybe everything would go down the drain and she wouldn't have that much to clean up. And I was like, but I would never do it because I have that tattoo on my ankle that says live strong, never give up. That's my way of always reminding myself, God put me here on the earth for a purpose. I'm not allowed to tap out on it, because otherwise how can I be a good example of not tapping out and still feeling it? So I'm always telling the truth, whether people judge me or not. I'll cry every single night wishing I was dead and back with God, and wake up every morning and saying, as long as you got hope and faith, we can make it, because every single emotion is allowed. And to say any emotion isn't allowed should be shamed.
Wow.
So that's why that book's out.
Wow.
Now I also have, I know it's deep, but that's how that book came out, because I lost a dear friend, this guy Robbie. I had taken care of a lot of kids in my life where they were in different households and different things going on, and he was just one of the ones that I also became dear friends with. I used to call him my right-hand lieutenant. This is going back a lot of years, and I didn't realize he was going to tap out on the world. I thought he just needed space to grow. That a lot of people pull away from me when they don't want to tell me something they know they shouldn't be doing. They pull away.
Why are you looking at me?
Because no. Because it's so sad, because I'm not gonna judge you and hate you. I'm gonna go, okay, I understand. I've done fucked up shit too.
Not everybody realizes that.
Right, because I'm a little intense.
But not even in your personal experience, I think with a lot of experiences in life, even if our best friend in the world, we don't always want to share that bad thought, because if we share it, we're admitting it, and we're giving it some sort of life, or we're or we're ashamed,
Yeah.
or, there's a whole lot of different dynamics where no matter what the relationship, we might not always voice it.
Right. Oh yeah. I mean, I've told you guys how many times where I was like, I'm surprised I'm alive. Last night I almost killed myself. And you're like, why didn't you call me? Because when depression hits that hard, you forget there's anybody you can talk to. And for what I've been doing my whole life is try to be an example so that you don't tap out on the world. So how do I come to you and say, hey, I almost tapped out on the world today.
Yeah.
If I'm supposed to be your example. One's if me telling you that makes you go, I give up then. If she can't, I won't. That terrifies me. So every March, I get very depressed because I lost my friend Robbie. He passed on. He committed suicide. And I have tons of friends that hit me up every March to make sure that I'll make it through, because it wasn't my fault that he chose to do that.
No.
But no matter what, I still blame myself because
Of course.
I lost one. And that was my job, in my opinion, to never allow any of my people to be lost. So no matter what, even though he wasn't my blood, no matter if he was my best friend or he thought I was just an acquaintance, for me, that scares me, which is what causes me to check in on everybody all the time and go, how you doing? And talk about the shit going on with me in the hopes of like, okay, well now I can tell her because she's gone through some serious shit. She's not going to judge me in the same way somebody who hasn't might.
Of course.
But at the same point, it's my own fault that I don't go, call people and go, hey, Kate, I might tap out today, because I know I won't. But at the same time, we all have been built upon this shame and guilt of like, how dare you have bad emotions?
Of course.
Why is that even a thing? We're in 2020. We have racism and we have shame still. Both are disgusting. Both changes everything we do with our lives. Why isn't it okay for you and I to feel like we're unworthy and not talk about it? Why is that a thing we've put in our own society? Which is why I wrote that book, Black Dreams and Shattered Illusions. Dread, Knives of Dread. I won an award for that. Best poet of, who freaking knows anymore, 2004 or something. And it's Knives of Dread, laying in a bed, wishing I was dead. Because, I haven't had an easy life. I haven't had, and you know the stories I've told you, oh my God, of people who deciding she wouldn't just follow the social cue. She wouldn't just do what I wanted her to do. So now I'm going to make sure she's dead. Or I'm going to beat her up. Or I'm going to shame her. Or I'm going to tell everybody she's a whore. We've heard people say, oh, wow, I met her. I fucked her 20 minutes ago. Bitch, I was doing a panel. There's no way. I mean, seriously, if I wanted to make lots of money, I'd be on Pornhub. I wouldn't be fucking people at random cons.
All right, and now I'm going to turn to the Pollyanna because what she's saying is we all have experiences that we can feel shame about, or we all have experiences that we don't think other people can resonate with. And we're all mistaken, because every single person, no matter who you are, in some way has had a bad thing happen in your life, has had a bad childhood, has had a difficult time. Even the most successful, happiest, whatever, everyone has something.
Everybody's got something.
And so what we're going to do is we're going to take a break on that, and we're going to come back and talk about some happy things going on.
Oh yeah, and I got my wine, so we can get real happy real quick.
And we are back. And what we're going to do right now is talk about Oh my gosh, you have some new and exciting things going on,
Yeah.
and we want to know about it.
All right, so first we have Yield, that's out on DVD. You'll be able to pick that up, bit.ly link bit.ly/order Yield. Yes.
And where can we order books?
Books you can order through my Happy Horrors website, my online store, so happyhorrors-store.myshopify.com. Oh yeah, I love singing the .com part. Actually, now that Yield's done, I've actually been hired to turn a comic book into a horror movie. Oh yeah, a horror comedy. The comic is called The Talking Dead, and it's going to be a feature horror comedy film, which is going to be, right now our working title is, let's see, Toby and Duke Take on the Cannabis Corpses. So it has lots of weed references and fun stuff, and yet still all the fun gory stuff that I love.
And you're holding true to the comic that inspired it.
Yes, I have been a comic book fan all of my life, even when, you know, other people told me that girls shouldn't be allowed and I should just play with Barbies. I was the kid that had the G.I. Joes, that had the Ghostbuster trap, trying to figure out why bad people didn't fall in it. And I am the person who goes, okay, it was a comic.
Stop. No, don't stop.
Oh.
All right, I'll edit that. Keep going.
I'm the person who looks at a comic and goes, every comic book fan wants it to be just like the comic.
Right.
So when you've read a comic and they've turned it into a movie, you get mad when they change it. Like, you know how many books I've read and then they made it into a movie and I go, that didn't happen. Or they cut that out. Oh, that's not possible. That's not what happened in the book. And you get mad. So when I got asked to be the director and producer for Toby and Duke Take on the Cannabis Corpses, look it up on Facebook. We already got a page and an Instagram page. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't slack. When they asked me to be the director and producer and write the screenplay and all that stuff, I made sure I followed every single cell of that comic and tried to make it as true as possible. So when you watch our feature film, which we're actually taking sponsors and donations for right now still, so think about it. I wanted to make sure that anybody who read the comic looks at the movie and goes, thank you. That's what we always want. Not, what the hell did she do with it? How did she ruin this? I loved the comic.
And you know what? You know, I have someone in my home who follows the comics and then will see the movie, the show, whatever. So I understand how they get irritated.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like, well, this is what this said, but this is what that. It's almost, well, but it's the same as turning a book into a movie.
Absolutely. I was just going to use the reference of Practical Magic. Most people don't know that the book Practical Magic and the movie Practical Magic are so extremely different.
I don't realize.
I actually watched the movie Practical Magic and thought, it was a book. Oh my goodness, I'm going to read the book. Bought the freaking book, read the first page, and went, what the hell happened here?
But that's what happens also if you look at Forrest Gump as well. Because the movie didn't reflect the book. I'm sorry.
That was great.
It was a horrific imitation, but it's true. That's
Sometimes, this is one of the reasons that I never sold any of the titles or any of my books. What happens is they loved the title, Practical Magic, but didn't love the same story.
Oh.
So they did whatever the hell they wanted. Now, the movie Practical Magic, I share that midnight margarita scene all the time.
Wonderful.
Midnight margaritas! Yes, I love it. I need midnight margaritas at all times. I don't care. It's always midnight somewhere. But you read the book, you're going to be totally disappointed. And when I had somebody be like, hey, I bet I could turn your, The Very Devil Herself into a great movie, I said, no. Everyone's like, you were insane. You could have, sold it, this, that, and the other.
Yeah, but you can do it.
That's what I'm going to do. But here's the problem. Most people don't realize that you got to not blame the author for how a movie is. So if I sold The Very Devil Herself, which is based in London, and somebody used the title and based it on ninjas in Japan, most people write the author and yell at them. You know how many people yelled at the Practical Magic author and said, how come the movie wasn't like your book? It's ridiculous. So one of the reasons that I had never said yes to anybody who goes, I can make you famous, just sell me your title, was because I'm not going to ruin something that I put my heart and soul in. Just like the Talking Dead comic that's fighting with The Walking Dead and AMC right now.
Oh.
Because the Talking Dead have the word dead in it and has to do with zombies, AMC is being outrageously disrespectful and outrageously wrong by trying to sue the Talking Dead and try to make them not have a comic at all.
Wow.
So the reason right now we have the working title, the Toby and Duke Take on the Cannabis Corpses, is because that freaking court case is still going on. The outrageousness of AMC trying to stop anybody that has to do with zombies, and then we're dead. Shame on you. Shame on you. So when they were like, this is our comic, and I was like, oh my God, I freaking love it. It has to do with cannabis and corpses. This is my shit. I was at ScareCon. I met Jeff, and I was like, I need to buy your comic. And I put the comic in my movie Yield.
Really?
Yep, there's little Easter eggs where you'll see me reading it. One of the promos, I'm sitting on a log reading a comic. The Token Dead comic is what I'm reading.
Wow.
And because of the problems with AMC, it wasn't even part of the credits because of how many problems we had.
Well,
Because they're fighting this stupid court case. So right now it's Toby and Duke Take on the Cannabis Corpses. And if you care about comics, please support the Toking Dead and their fight against AMC and the bullshit they're dealing with. I'm sorry about the cursing.
it's okay.
But if
It's
somebody
okay.
tried to take me on because I used the word devil or very, I would lose my freaking mind. So right now I got hired to be the director and producer and screenwriter so that I'm making sure it is as close as the comic as possible. We're taking donations and sponsorships. So if you have a company and you want it in the movie, contact the Toking Dead guys, Ben and Jeff. They're handling all the sponsorship
Okay.
side. I'm handling everything else. So if you want your company or your project in the movie, you could even have an IMDb credit for your company like somebody did in Yield. So right now it's Toby and Duke Take on the Cannabis Corpses,
Okay.
and it's a horror comedy. So these two guys are smoking weed and realize that everybody else is zombies and they're fine in a weird sort of way. And there's a very hot lesbian woman that's in there too. I mean, why not? She's a redhead lesbian. Oh yeah. So zombies, two doofuses trying to survive all the zombie apocalypse, and a redheaded lesbian are all trying to survive. You think that's not my kind of
Very
film?
interesting. All right, and now I'm corralling you though because we're running out of time, and I want to hear about your newest endeavor, which is
Yes. Let's party with Loren. Yes, Thursday nights with the shimmy. No, we've been joking about the shimmy all
We have been
day.
joking about this.
But Let's Party with Loren is a Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time
8
show.
to 9 p.m.
It's an hour show, 8 to 9, and it's a game show. So I have guests on my show every Thursday night, which will be on StreamYard and Facebook at minimum. And on Fridays, I'll be uploading it to the YouTube channel. It takes so long to update stuff. Anyway, and Thursday nights, every 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Let's Party with Loren.
Okay.
We'll have different kind of games going on, as well as drinks. And, the people who like, 420 products are more than welcome to use those during the show. I will have a link so that everybody who wants to drink during Thirsty Thursday with me can, have, Drizzly or one of those other beverage alcohol companies delivered to their
Oh,
house.
cool. Now, how do they find the link?
I will be posting it every before the show, so you have
Okay.
enough time to know that I'm either going to be drinking wine with my guests or whatever drink, so that you can have a drink sent to your house,
neat.
and you don't have to worry about going out and possibly getting in problems or this, that, and the other. Let it be directed to your house. Make sure you tip your people, please, because anybody
Especially
delivering
now, especially now, they all need the money.
I do. I use DoorDash. I use Grubhub. I use a lot of the drink delivery systems. If you are going to order and have someone deliver anything to you and you don't give a good tip, shame on you. That person had to risk life and limb and drive to your house and possibly get sick just so you could have whatever you ordered. So please do enough respect that if it was you doing the delivery, that you give the tip that you wish you were getting. And that's what I try to do, and make sure that whatever guest is also on the show, they know this is what we're going to be drinking or what they want to
That
eat.
works. That's good.
So sometimes we'll have themes, other times it's just what everyone's drinking or smoking or whatever. We play some crazy games, and then whoever the guest is gets to promote what they're doing in their lives or their businesses. So, and they're games you've never seen before, because we already know I'm a little sick in the head. So
Just a little
a lot of fun.
different.
A lot of
So
fun.
now you have a Facebook page?
I have a
You
Facebook
have-
page.
What else? Is there?
Let's see. Facebook, it's facebook.com. Let's Party with Loren. Instagram, it's Let's Party with Loren. I would do a search and make sure you find them all correctly.
Okay.
And on YouTube, you can find Loren Molloy or Let's Party with Loren. They're both interconnected.
Okay. Well, I want to say.
I want you on my show.
I will be on your show. I adore you.
Yay.
And as spooky as you are, but I want to say thank you for sitting down with us.
Absolutely.
You have so much going on, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And we're thrilled to pieces to be a little teeny tiny part of it. We're thrilled to pieces to be watching you as you move forward.
Thank you.
And we adore you.
I love you, darling.
I
And I'm
love
so
you
proud
too.
of what you're doing.
Loren Molloy, everyone. She's a spooky bitch.
Happy hours, everybody. Stay safe.